Today I wanted to give you guys some inspiration on how to make one of your songs not sound like one of your songs. I do want to thank Anna Novell, maybe it's novel or some other way. I just want to say thanks, Anna, for leaving the comment on the video on Monday. It sort of inspired me to make this video today and teach you guys how I make a song go from sounding like this. Your life could be a shakedown, make you want to turn around and fix all of the many faults that you've been living with, into something that sounds like this.
Your life could be a shakedown, make you want to turn around, fix all of the many faults that you've been living with.
So that's what we're going to talk about today here on GarageBand and Beyond. So the very first step of this process of making your song not sound like one of your songs is to get rid of your main instrument. So if you're a guitar player, no more guitar tracks. If you're a keyboard player, no more like typical keyboard sounds that you've ever used, okay? This is going to be sort of a big hurdle for a lot of people maybe on this idea. But for me, it has made it a lot easier. Like just dumping the guitar track right out of the gate. Like I went from sounding like the Goo Goo Dolls, right? I sounded like late 90s, like that. The original mix that you heard at the beginning of this video really sounds like a late 90s song. I mean, I grew up during that era, so it makes sense that I write songs like that, but I did not want it to sound like that. I didn't want it to sound dated. I liked the melody. I liked the chord progression. I needed to figure out a way as a producer to make it sound interesting and new and modern somewhat, you know? It's an experimental song for me especially, so I'm going to give you sort of a brief overview of how this song was created, but along the premises of making your song not sound like one of your songs, okay? So when you get rid of your main instrument, you have to replace it with something that will play those chords. In my particular case, and especially on a song like this, I was really interested in using sounds that I don't normally use, haven't used in other songs. So I came up with this bassoon solo, and this is what is playing the fundamental, just the chords throughout the entire song. Sounds like this. Right? It's a very cool sound, but not something I've used before. And when I stumbled across it, I played the chords. I was like, ooh, that is interesting. I didn't have to love the sound. I just had to be interested in the sound, okay? I did affect it. I added some reverb and, you know, the multipressor compressor a little bit just to give it some tightness so it could really cut through the mix well. But anyway, so that's the fundamental thing. Get rid of your main instrument and replace it with something that's cool and interesting, okay? So I'm going to go down the line, talk about the synthesizers a little bit. So the Event Horizon sound is actually something I have used before. I love this sound. It's got lots of layers and textures that sort of come and go as you just hold down one single note. Here, I'll just push play for you. Right? Very fun, atmospheric, slow sound. Really great. Between that and the next sound, you know, I'm creating a bed of sounds, right? A soundscape. This next one I will describe a little bit because I did do something, you know, semi-interesting. I automated the effect on it. And so here's what it sounds like. Right? Cool sound. Of course, I'm, you know, creating that soundscape. So now, what did I do to get it to sort of get that swirly moment there? And I have made a video on how to automate your MIDI tracks, but really quickly, what I did was I played the normal part. Then when I was done recording it, I came back and I just pushed record, and I didn't even go near the keyboard anymore. I came down here and I started playing with the modulation control. So let me just push play again. I'm going to move the mouse and you'll see I'm not touching it at all. Right? Very simple. So yeah, you push record, and as you move the knobs, it will record those moves as automation moves. And it's one of the best ways that you can get your keyboard sounds to sound more professional, because You probably don't have a keyboard controller with all the knobs that would interact with GarageBand, right? I don't either, so this is the way you do that. Okay, so let's keep going down. I did add this groovy synth pattern. There's not very much of it. I mean, a little bit here and there. You don't really hear it when it's... You don't really hear it when it's in the whole mix. Just a little bit of an ornament, and halfway through the song it comes in, okay? So the other thing that I love on this song is this bass sound. Oh, you guys, I haven't used it before. When I found it and started automating it and coming up with it, I found the sound, loved it, and then I tweaked it a little bit just so it would fit my needs as a bass part. Oh, the brown note. I love that low note. I love that note. When I hit it on the keyboard the first time, I was like, oh God, yes, that is so cool. It's so low that you can hear the individual, you can hear the beating of that note. But it's not so sub heavy that it's going to freak out your system. I know one of you guys was complaining that there's too much bass on this, and I'm sorry. It's kind of how I wanted to produce this song. However, if you have a sub under your desk, you might want to get your sub out from under your desk. And if you are one of those people, you should read, where does your sub belong in your room? Under your desk by your feet, not a good place. It's very convenient for the room, but terrible for sound quality. Anyway, let's keep going down. The drummer, very, very sparse. Again, trying not to sound like a normal song. So, it's literally like heartbeat. Basic. No hi-hat, no snare here. Really bare bones until we get somewhere down here. It gets a little more. Right? Basic. Super bare. Super basic. And it doesn't really get, and it's not even that busy ever, but it doesn't get more busy or more intricate until the end of the song. This is a long, slow crescendo for the arrangement on this, right? I have 3 chords that I'm just sort of repeating over and over. I mix it up for the melody to create choruses and verses and stuff like that. But by keeping the drums really non-existent at the beginning, and then you pepper them in just a little bit as you go throughout, and then by the end they come in, it's just that long buildup. It's tension and release, and the release would be the moment when the drums are fully in there. The tension would be all the moments that you don't hear the drums, especially like in the sections where, you might hear it and then it goes away. That's a build and a release, right? It's a release and then a build maybe. Anyway, super interesting to go that way with your drums. Bare bone drums is totally what's going on in modern music these days. Now, let's get to the fun stuff. This is the experimental stuff that I really, I love doing stuff like this, and I don't do it enough. Maybe because I don't write that many experimental songs. So this first sound, the clickety click 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 sound, literally just me going like this. Tongue on the roof of my mouth, making a clicking sound. No big deal, right? Here's the recording of it. Wait, echo. Right? Pretty silly, pretty basic. Now, with the effects on it, I'll let you hear it again. Right? How fun is that? It sort of has like a rain stick sound. It's sometimes rhythmic. I did quantize this, so it was on the timeline. I needed it to be rhythmic in moments, but I added 2 delays. So the longer delay is the one that will remove it from the tempo. And I did that on purpose. I wanted it to match up sometimes and not at others. It was just a concept that I wanted to follow. This whole turnaround swirliness, it's going for that idea with the sounds as well as the lyrics, right? The next one is a buzzy buzz sound. Let's see if you can just identify this here. I'm going to turn the effects off. Let's see if any of you really sharp people out there. Let's see who gets this. Leave a comment if you figure it out before I tell you. Anybody? Okay, I'm going to tell you. I literally stumbled into this sound by stepping on a quarter-inch cable, guitar cable that was live. It was plugged in and it was running through GarageBand, and actually using these effects, which I'm going to talk about for both of these. It was hooked up to the helium vocal effect, and when I heard that buzz sound, I was like, oh, that's a cool sound. So I put it through, I recorded it, and now with the effects on it, it sounds like this. Right? It's fun, you guys. This is totally fun. I wanted something that maybe just made a buzzy sound. I hadn't come up with it yet. I was sort of sitting here wondering, what am I going to do to make this sound? And I just stepped on the cable and it made that sound for me. Now, the main effects that are running on here come straight out of the vocal or the voice folder. They're under experimental, and these particular two for the rhythm stuff here, helium vocals. That's what I was using. On this one, I added more delay, and on this one, there's no extra delay, just its normal setup of plugins that are already there when you open up this preset under experimental. You guys, I do encourage you to play with some of this stuff that you might have written off a long time ago inside of GarageBand, like the experimental vocal folder. That's a mouthful. Experimental vocal folder. That's a fun place to find some new sounds, especially if you're recording different things like the clicking or the buzz. I ran it through these plugins and it was like, oh yeah, that's super cool. Okay. So this is that's the band. Okay. Those are the elements of the band. Right now, let's get down to the vocals, because I know a lot of you are curious about this. I'm going to just play them by themselves really quickly.
Shake down, make you wanna turn around, fix all of the many thoughts that you've been living with. Sometimes it's a knockdown that helps you get your head around all.
Okay, so two things are happening here, and I'm going to play the more clean sound. So I have just copied and pasted this track below. It's got a lot of reverb on it, this guy right here, but that's about it.
Your life could be a shakedown, make you wanna turn around, fix.
So after I had started working and creating that other vocal sound with all the effects on it, something I realized that was happening was you can't understand the words at all, right? So in an attempt to let you guys at least understand, let's say 80% of them, I'm hoping, I decided to add semi-dry vocals, okay? So they're not exactly dry, I know, but they don't have a ton of effects. Now let's go to the other one. Let's look at this. Look at how many plugins are running on this. It's almost comical. I have never in my life put so many different effects on a vocal, but here we are having fun. My gosh, it's so fun to do this kind of stuff. So let's talk about this, okay? So by itself, here it is.
Your life could be a shakedown, make you wanna turn around, fix all.
Okay, right? So it's got a vocodery effect going on without really using any vocoder, okay? I don't have one. GarageBand doesn't have one. So we had got to come up with our own. So what I did, again, I'm in the experimental folder. I'm using the robot vocal. And then I added a bunch of my own stuff, okay? So the things that really are changing the sound in the vocal transformer, which is part of this robot vocal preset, is the vocal transformer. And so mine, I did bring the formant down to -3, change the key to D because it's in the key of D, and that's what happened there. So that's one important thing. Now, the next thing that I did personally buy and add was this thing, the Little Altar Boy from Sound Toys. Very, very useful plugin. I think it's about $29 or $39, something like that. Cheap, easy to use, very, very fun, and has lots of good sounds. What this is doing, you can see is I have it set to high octave double, right? Now, yes, it is creating a high octave, but because it's also running through like the ring shifter and the vocal transformer, it also helped bring out one of the lower harmonics in this vocal. And so I'll play it and let's I'll turn it on and off.
Sometimes it's a knockdown that helps you get your head around all the things that day to day have only held you back.
Right? Hopefully you could hear that. Let me go back a little bit farther. I'll do the same thing on and off.
Your life could be a shakedown. down, make you wanna turn around, fix all of the many faults that you've been living with.
So I do have it set to quantizing, which is one of the ways that this particular plugin creates auto-tune, right? This is a heavily auto-tuned part. Now, of course, I did actually use the auto-tuner, and we can just go look at that, 100%, and it's limited to the key. So this is a really, really hard auto-tune. I just wanted to make sure that it did sound robotic. I wanted it to sound weird, and I wanted it to sound modern. So you got to use the auto-tuner, people. This is 2019. No popular song on the radio will be found without auto-tune layered all over it, okay? So, it is what it is. It was fun. It was a fun thing to create. So I think that's basically it as far as the overview on how this song was created. And really, what I want you to take away from this video is that it is very simple, very fun to make one of your own songs sound totally different than any other song you've ever done. If this is something as an artist, as a songwriter, as a creator, something you're trying to do, I hope that you get something out of this video. I hope that something in here inspired you to go record and make funny, clicky, buzzy sounds and play with your vocals heavily and make them sound weird and robotic and all that kind of stuff. Dumping your main instrument and replacing it with something else is going to be a huge one for a lot of people. As soon as you do that, you're going to find like, ooh, I'm on a new path and this sounds cool and I like that. So I hope that you got something inspirational out of this video, because that's the idea, just to give you guys some little tidbits of inspiration. That's what I'm trying to do here. So you guys, as always, thank you so much for watching my channel here. GarageBand and Beyond is a big deal to me. This is my career, you guys, and I'm here helping you make music, and I hope you enjoy it. If you'd like to help support the channel, click on the Patreon page. Those of you who have already done that, I appreciate it so profoundly you can't even imagine. It's the thing that's keeping this channel alive, and it's awesome that you support the channel because you like it so much. And so you guys should all go over to the Patreon page and check it out. There's rewards. There's a lot of good rewards over there. I think that covers about all of it. All right, you guys, I'll see you on Friday with some sort of video. I haven't figured out what, but I'll see you on Friday, all right? Peace and love.